This is Eagle Al, and today I will be talking about Nick Sirianni. It's looking like he's going to be here to stay. Also, Cowboys, they are in shambles. As an Eagles fan, I love it. And lastly, we're going to talk about Gregg Williams possibly being the Eagles defensive coordinator, but let's get straight into it. All right, so before we get straight into the topics today, let's talk about Jason Kelce a little bit. Sound like Jason Kelce don't want to hang it up based on what Travis Kelce is saying, but let me go ahead and play this clip.
Yeah, it came out that he retired and he didn't really say any of that, so it's just the end of that game. I think everybody kind of felt for him, knowing that he has been thinking about it a lot over the past couple of years. The documentary shows that you don't need to go around and ask anybody. So it's I don't know. It's just it's been cool to see everybody appreciate who he's been over the years this past week. But I think the big guy still got some football left if he wants it.
Travis,
As you see, Travis Kelce believes his brother is not ready to hang it up. I believe so too, and the only reason why is because he don't want to go out like that. I'm not even saying win the Super Bowl, but to go out on an epic collapse season, the career Jason Kelce had, it's not right. It's not right at all. So hopefully whatever Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and these dudes decide to do is the right thing, because that's really the only veteran I'm thinking about you got to bring back to doing right. I know I love Fletch, I love BG and some of these dudes, but at some point we got to get younger. But the way Jason Kelce is playing still as a top 2 center in the league, between him and Creed Humphrey, there's nobody else on this level. So if Jason Kelce want to give it one more shot, 2 more shots, you got to give him the shot, because he's not just some old washed up dude playing. He's still some dude that's playing at a high level. But speaking of Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, these dudes, Josina Anderson had put out an interesting tweet before I went to sleep, actually, and I'm waking up this morning to see it. But let's go over this tweet. So fans had asked, like, what's going on with the Eagles? Nothing came out at all, which nothing came out at all during the meeting. But this is what Josina Anderson had to say. Howie Roseman, that's HR, brought up Nick's name while flushing through potential coordinators prospects within the last 48 hours. That's a mustard seed glimpse. Okay, LOL. Good night, y'all, with the cool emoji. So it sounds like Nick will be here to stay, because Howie is not just calling for coordinators like we usually do when we get head coaches. We already have coordinators in building or in the building. It sounds like Nick will be here to stay. Howie is calling like, do you want to join Nick's team and this and that the last 2 days. So it sounds like he's going to be here to stay, because even when Doug got fired after the meeting, we got the news immediately. And it's strange how Philadelphia Eagles admin is moving, because as of yesterday, they did put out their thank you tweet, they thank you video from certain players. And I'm like, where's the news? So it sounds like, or it looks like, the Philadelphia administration is trying to butter up the Eagles fans before the Nick Sirianni news come out that he's here to stay. Because as we know, a lot of fans are pissed off with Nick Sirianni right now, and we're not ready to hear that he's here to stay. But this is my opinion on it. No matter if he stays, goes, or whatever, we don't hire established coaches. We try to hire this underground coach and build them up. We don't hire Jim Harbaughs or Bill Belichick's or anything like that. We hire some QB coach that we never knew about. Did anybody really know about Nick Sirianni? Was Nick Sirianni this guy that was hot, this hot offensive coordinator? No, because we all knew in Indy who was calling the offense. We knew it was Frank Reich. And Nick Sirianni, I'm like, when he got hired, I'm like, oh, okay, who is this guy? It was plenty other like Brian Dayballs and stuff out there who were hot coordinators, but we hired just some coordinator and had the team ready for him. So that's what the Eagles do. All right, so let's get into the Cowboys are in shambles. I mean, when you think of the Cowboys today, it's three players you really think about. Of course, they got 9 All-Pros, but they main three, you think about Dak Prescott, you think about CeeDee Lamb, and you think about Micah Parsons. And they just are in complete shambles right now. But let's go over some tweets and some posts that came out, and man, is damning to the Cowboys nation because they gotta go through this for what, 8 months till September, because it looked like Micah Parsons went out. CeeDee Lamb is sick of Dak Prescott. And again, let's go over these tweets. So Micah Parsons deleted his Twitter, and when he came back for vengeance. All right, so the first tweet goes, y'all gonna fit whatever narrative y'all want about Sunday. I'll drop my facts soon. Delusion versus reality. He eventually deleted the tweet. So obviously he's talking about the Green Bay game. He's going to go over it. He's going to go on his podcast, of course, which everybody is sick of. And Cowboys Nation, I love it. But everybody's sick of it because he's doing a lot of talking, and he was a no-show on Sunday. All right, so he goes at Skip Bayless, who, in my opinion, is their biggest content creator. He's the one that's keeping the Cowboys, hot, in my opinion. And Skip Bayless put out, can't wait for Micah Parsons' podcast tomorrow. That's what he does best. And Micah Parsons went berserk. You just a hating AMF who was mad I ain't want to do your show. Where was all this when you were on my nuts? Wanted me to come on your show every Tuesday. You lame as F. Skip real S. Fake A Cowboys fans. In my opinion, he's their biggest content creator, and Cowboys fans don't like to hear that. But Skip again keeps them relevant. And Trayvon Diggs actually had to step in and give his opinion about Skip Bayless. He said, get off D. And look, 1.5 million views. Like, they are in shambles. They worried about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts arguments on the sideline. This is 100 times worse. But it gets worse because family is getting involved in this. Terrence Parsons Jr. had to say this to the fans because a lot of the fans are agreeing with Skip. Don't listen to the Cowboys content creators. Forget them. The fans are agreeing with Skip. And this is what Terrence Parsons had to say. LMFAO, just remember what the defense looked like before and after Micah. Sound like a guy that won out. It sound like a guy that won out. LOL, that's all I'm going to say. LOL, y'all want to talk stats, right? Dominant players won't have great numbers because they get all the attention. Y'all confused good with great. LOL. And again, not a good look because it seemed like Micah Parsons went out. All right. And here's more. Now, this is CeeDee Lamb's mother. This is not just no fan talking. CeeDee Lamb mother put Dak ain't it. And I thought this was fake. So I went on Facebook and found this screenshot myself. And I seen it floating around Twitter. Man, somebody commented, tell the youngin to come to the home team. CJ would love him, CJ Stroud. Then his mom replied, S. I wish he would. CJ is great. And then more fans commented, family, just say he doesn't want a ring. And that's not good. That's not good at all. Seemed like guys won out. Dudes don't want to play for the Cowboys. That is a complete circus what's going on with Cowboys, but I love it. I love it. I mean, Dak ain't it. We've been trying to tell these dudes that for years. And Honestly, I think CD Lamb is talking to his mom like, "Yo, I'm not feeling this Dak guy." But to defend Dak just a little bit, I mean, CD Lamb had the case of the Butterfingers against the Packers. He had the case of the Butterfingers. But them two, I think something is off. I think something is off. Now, CD is not as vocal as like a AJ Brown, but for stuff like this to come out, for CD Lamb damn near crying on the sideline, not good. This is not good at all for them. But Eagles fan, I love it. I love it. But let's talk about the Eagles. Let's get back to the Eagles. Gregg Williams, spoke about the Eagles, and they asked him about potential defensive coordinator positions and who's reaching out to him and this and that. But let me go ahead and play this clip.
Maybe you should make a stop in is Philadelphia to potentially be their defensive coordinator. Would that still interest you, being a DC in the NFL again?
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to do that. I've had opportunities. There's quite a few people, a lot of people, reaching out to me right now. And with the right people, the right situation, yes, I am going to get back in it.
How would you try to fix the Eagles' defense right now?
Here's what I would say. I saw them have a defensive structure on what they know, not what players could play. Each and every stop that I've been at, I've had to change the structure of what we're doing defensively to fit the players that are playing. And if you don't think you got to change to protect those guys within a game, whether it's a game plan or whatever. And those are the things I've been able to do now that I've coached 2,500 NFL players, and over 1,000 of them call me on Father's Days every year, so I must not be as big a prick as everybody says I
am. Absolutely love that. It's also the tackling in Philly. I've never seen.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey,
it was terrible.
You better not have a sound. I'm at my son's house up in the Cleveland area, and they got to take the grandkids and everything out of the house because they hear me in the basement screaming and yelling at poor tackling and drop passes. Nothing more pisses me off than when I see a poor tackling individual or a person who can't catch the ball. And I tell the guys all the time, it's now time for you to go up and sell beer in the stands because you can't play.
I mean, everything he said was valid about the Eagles' defense. Yeah, there's talent there. He went in on the tackling, and he said, like, yo, I would have told him it's time for y'all to be on the stands. Like, yo, tackling like that, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. He didn't like it. And James Bradbury, like none of these dudes could tackle the linebackers. And we've been saying this for weeks. Football players actually won that Eagles content creators because we criticized their tackling, saying it looked like they scared to tackle. But at some point, it looked like they just didn't want to tackle, didn't want to play for the defensive coordinator. As Shannon Sharp and these dudes say, even though you don't probably want to play for the team or the defensive coordinator, at some point you got to play for that name on the back of the jersey, which is yours. And they just didn't do it. We need a defensive coordinator. And I like Gregg Williams. I mean, besides the bounty hunting and this and that, his defense that he usually coach, they usually always finish at least in the top 10. I know he got fired because he did some questionable stuff. I believe he was told that, but he was the scapegoat. He sent like an all-out blitz against the Raiders and lost purposely for, a draft spot. And he got fired for it. And I don't think that was right because the Jets defense was decent, but it looked like they were tanking. And I guess Jets Nation, they want to hear that. They just wanted to see a guy fired, and he was the scapegoat. But yeah, he definitely deserves a job. I would love that type of violent type of defense that Gregg Williams coach. I would personally love it. But we need anything besides the Vic Fangio scheme. Hell, we need Eagle Owl scheme. And guess what? I don't have a scheme. But anything besides Vic Fangio scheme. Anything besides it. But hey, man, what do you think, and how do you feel about the news today? Cowboys fans or Cowboys Nation or the Cowboys players are in shambles. Jason Kelce, Look like Nick will be staying. But this is Eagle Owl, man. I'm up.